Hi, I'm Ethan, aka The Twiz,
And I'm Ashley.
and this is He Said, She Said, where we watch movies and review them. The movie we just watched was Boyhood, directed by Richard Linklater. What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty good. What did you think?
I liked it a lot, actually.
I thought I really wanted to like it, and I
Yeah.
didn't like it as much as I wanted to like it. It was kind of, it made me
Yeah.
sad. I wanted to like it
That's-
more than I did like
That's
it.
fair to say. What did you want to like more out of it?
I honestly, I'm not really. I was like writing. I was trying to write notes and figure out what really didn't sit right with me, and I don't really know that I know how to describe it. I mean, the acting was okay. I love Ethan Hawke's character. Like it was like he was like really.
Yeah,
He was really great, of course, because he's Ethan Hawke.
he was the highlight of.
He was definitely
my
the
opinion.
highlight of the movie. The mom, in my opinion, was just super irritating for some reason.
Ethan Hawke's character, who was the main character, Mason's dad, was, in my opinion, the only character that I actually liked.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. I felt, and I mean, I also felt as though even though this movie was taking place over a lot of years, I didn't feel very connected to most of the characters. I mean, Ethan Hawke, you definitely kind of felt for him and understood his character
Yeah.
on a deeper level, but like the mom, I mean, I felt bad for her, like in her relationships and things like
Mhm.
that, but they also kind of developed so quickly that I didn't have time to, it went from she was happily married to all of a sudden she was married to this drunk, like, abusive guy, and it was...
Yeah, we could kind of see some of it coming.
No, yeah, I know, but it's still, it just, like, I didn't feel as attached to all these characters as I would have hoped that I...
Well, I think that was, I don't think it was really the point necessarily. I mean, like, it seems like it should because it's like, oh, we've been following this kid for 12 years. Literally, we've been filming him for 12 years. For those of you who don't know, the concept of the film was they started shooting, I believe, in 2002 all the way to 2013. So it was 11, almost 12 years of this kid's life. And it basically, they shot for 12 days out of the year every year up until 2013. So it's showing the chronology of when he was a little boy all the way until he graduates from high school and starts college. But because that is the point, you feel like you want to be attached more to the character because it feels like you should be because you've been following him literally for 11 or 12 years. So you feel like you should be attached to him.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird that, I mean, I felt the same way. I was more attached to the dad
Definitely.
than Mason himself.
Yeah.
In a movie like this, it's kind of hard to, I mean, automatically the narrative is going to be unorthodox and automatic.
Yeah.
There can't really be a 3-act structure, and there can't really be, you know, like a climax and then like on the edge of your seat and like, oh, like, but at the same time, you still wonder what happens next and you still want to know what happens next, even though you might be detached from the character.
No, you're
right.
right.
Not detached from the story, and you might not feel like that tug from when bad things happen to the characters, but at the same time you are attached to what's gonna happen next. And even at the end of the movie, when the movie ended, I was like I really want to know what happens to this guy. Like, it didn't feel like it was over, like partially because you've been seeing him for 12 years or for 11, 12 years, and that's a long time.
Yeah.
You know?
That was another thing throughout the movie. I was kind of thinking, like, how is this movie going to end? Because it just kind of starts when he's a kid, and then it progresses through his life. And I was like, what point are they going to choose to just stop the film? You know, because it's not like they were in a normal film where they have a story, and so when you reach the end of your story, you stop the movie.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it was just ongoing, and even when they stopped the movie, essentially the story could still keep going on because it's about this boy's life. Just his life in general, not a specific part of his life. I did like that it wasn't too unrealistic in terms of the events that are happening in his life. It was pretty realistic.
At times it felt like I wasn't even watching a movie. It felt like you were there with him.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool, and I think that was really the point of it. Like, you were on this journey with him, and like maybe you didn't feel for the character, but at the same time you were like you were attentive the whole time. Like my mind didn't wander really at all through the whole movie.
Yeah, and it definitely was different because I'm so used to a normal movie where, you know, there's like action or some kind of drama going on to keep you strung along. Like, a lot of times I like plug my ears because I felt like something was supposed to happen because it was a film, but then it just kept going like a normal story.
And that was kind of cool though. I want to point that out is because that's what happens in life. Like, you live life and there's all these things that you're doing wrong, and a consequence should happen from what you do wrong, but nothing, you know, like you do things you shouldn't do. You like ride cars without your seatbelts on, or you like drink when you're a teenager or whatever. Not everyone does, but it happens, and people always tell you not to, and yeah, a lot of times bad things happen from it, but in this instance, nothing bad happened from it, and I think that was just the point also of the movie is you live and you learn, and you have experiences, and a lot of times you survive to tell the story.
Yeah, it was totally a weird feeling to feel that. But
it was like you were living it with.
Yeah, it was.
It was kind of like you were looking back at like your dad telling you stories of what he did when he was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like that he's gonna be okay because he's here telling you this story.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like if you saw that happen, you'd be like, oh my gosh, like what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like this can't be good.
Yeah, definitely. But I did like that they kept it pretty realistic. That was cool. There's a lot of things about the movie that I felt like it. We talked about going into the movie, like this felt like a movie that could be defining of our generation. It could, and it did feel like that while it was happening. It makes me a little bit sad sometimes when I look at this is how our generation is going to be defined, but it's realistic. But I did like that the main character Mason kind of questioned the era that he's being raised in when he has his whole discussion about technology and so on. He kind of questions where he's living and why he. And
it's funny because when he was like in junior high, he was like obsessed with video games.
Yeah.
And then he's the same guy that later, when he's like almost graduating from high school, he's talking about how like, our whole world, our whole generation we're robots now, and like technology's taking over our life. I'm deleting my Facebook because like I don't want to be another cyborg,
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of interesting, and it really kind of shows like I don't know how the writing process went with this movie, but it kind of shows that maybe there's like little hints in there that maybe the filmmaker didn't really know where he wanted to go with this while he was making. He was kind of just like seeing what happened and seeing what happened around him in society, and kind of using that and instilling it in the movie as he grows older. He's kind of like observing what maybe the actor was into and the real boy was into, and kind of including that into the movie. And there's times where he's talking about like technology, and I'm like, and this is already maybe like in the movie years, it's maybe like 8 years already into the movie out of 11 or 12. And you're like, how did he know this like 8 years ago when he first started making it? How do you know that all these things, all these issues were going to come up? Like he couldn't have known that.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have projected it, but there's no way he would have written a whole movie around that notion.
Yeah, it did feel like an ongoing process. It felt like something that was constantly revisited and relooked at and adjusted. So it could be that generation-defining movie. He didn't want to just make a movie from the beginning and assume, well, this is where we're going to end up, so let's make it that way. He let history like reveal itself, and then by doing that, he let the movie like take the course it should take. Yeah, and it happened very organically. Yeah, very naturally. But like, I wanted to touch on when you said that. I wonder if like things that was going on in the actor's life, like if he incorporated that. The whole movie, I feel like this could be like this guy, like this kid is actually living a similar life.
It was 100% realistic.
Yeah, in terms of like his hobbies and stuff. Like I wonder, like, what is this actor like? Is this like, was this his personality as a teenager, as a young boy?
And his hairstyles constantly changed every other year. Did
they change it just because of the movie, or did he like want to change it? I wanted to know, like, how did they decide, like, the little girl, when she decided to have like bangs, was it because all her friends at school was having it, or was it because they told her to do it for the movie?
Because it was what was cool at that time.
Yeah, so like it was kind of cool to be like, okay, is this because of the movie, or is it because it's real life? Because it kind of they kind of went together to make the movie.
I thought it was interesting how you could see like the change of filmmaking over the years too. Like 2002 was when they first started. What filmmaking was at that time, you could tell that was like just the shots that they chose to take and the stuff that they said and the lingo.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was like really interesting to me. And I thought it was interesting that he knew like back then what to have a close up of. Like he had a close up of like the Xbox controller.
Yeah.
And like the iPod. And I just thought it was interesting. He probably did close ups of tons of stuff and just picked from it. But I also liked how there were like different characters that came in and out of his life.
Yeah.
And it kind of parallels like what happens in your life, and like people come in and out of your life all the time, and most of them are just, they're just people that you reference years later. Like they're not people who make a huge impact, but there's at the same time there's someone that like just came into your life and affected how you turned out, which is weird. And then they kind of came that back around towards the end with the guy who was working in their yard, and the mom told him that he should go get an education because he's smart, And she forgot all about him, and then like 5 years later, he came back and he was a manager at the restaurant.
Yeah, I knew they were going to do that. By the way,
really?
I was like, this is a really random scene to include if they're not going to do anything with it. So I was like, they're going to bring him back later in the movie.
That was kind of cool though.
It was cool, yeah.
It kind of showed the reverse part, like one person in your life can make a difference.
Yeah.
Because there was tons of little people in his life
yeah.
that contributed to the grand scheme of things. But then when he was on the other side of that situation, where his mom was the one person that affected his life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I thought that was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. I did like that, yeah.
But I didn't really care for the main character a whole lot. He was kind of arrogant a little bit, and you didn't really like him that much. Kind of self-centered a little bit, but I mean, at the same time, you saw him still grow out of that phase. Like, he wasn't in that forever, like, towards the end. But he still had this kind of self-righteous way about him that kind of made him annoying at times.
Yeah. But I think that they might have also done that on purpose because, I mean, you look at the generation now, a lot of people are like that.
Yeah,
you know, like
they think they know everything.
That's the reality right now. And I mean, like, every generation, like, the kids think they know best and whatever, but it's still a little bit different in this whole new information era. Like, the kids think they know way more than their parents ever did, you know? And, and they kind of have that, I don't know, they kind of just act like they know more, you know? And so I think that's kind of why they portrayed him that way, because it's realistic.
Yeah, and just like what we talk about with the TV shows and stuff, how, like, nowadays, kids' TV shows, they have, like, the parents being, like, the knuckleheads and, like, the idiots, and they're fools, and then the kids are always the ones that are, like, that know best. But when I was growing up, the parents always knew best, and, like, the kids acted like they knew best. But in the long run, they were always the one, at the end of the episode, they were the ones that were taught the lesson. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's kind of where we are now, is that the kids don't think they need the lessons taught. Even at the end of the day, they don't think they learn anything. Yeah. You know? So
I think that it made sense that they made the character that way, but it did make him very unlikable, I think. It was hard to root for him, I guess, in the end.
Yeah, it kind of was, yeah. You know? But I think that was also part of the whole point of the movie.
No, I do. And I even thought when he was talking to his girlfriend a lot, I was like, she's just going to get tired of listening to this, because I'm getting tired of listening to it. And I've only been seeing him talk like this for like 15 minutes. And like, I'm super irritated.
Yeah, he was just like way too deep into thought all the time.
Yeah, and like negative thought too. Yeah. Like not even just like deep into thought. It was like always negative. And then
she said, hated mankind.
Yeah, when she said it's nice to be around someone that isn't so negative or whatever, I was like, thank you. Like, geez, I thought I was the only one seeing this, you know?
I wanted him to like kind of realize his mistake, but he didn't. He said, I still don't know what I did wrong. Yeah. But I also think that was intentional. Yeah. I think he wasn't supposed to learn yet. Yeah. Because although you think you learn a lot in that first 18 years of your life, and you do, but don't get me wrong, but you really learn like tenfold when you are on your own and you move away, you're on your own, and you start life.
It's very different.
Without your parents there.
When you're in high school, the learning curve is a little bit slower, I think. Yeah. In terms of life lessons. Yeah. But
at a running time of 2 hours and 42 minutes, like it didn't, like that's a long movie, but I don't know, for me, it didn't feel tiresome at all. Like it felt like I still want to know what happened. Like I was excited for the next stage in the narrative.
Yeah, I think because there was it's not like a normal movie where it just takes place over a short period of time, because so many different stages were happening. It didn't feel as long.
It's definitely one of the most original movies I think you'll ever see.
Yeah, I agree. It's not my favorite movie, but it's definitely original. So.
I actually like it. I like it even more as I'm talking about it.
Not necessarily me, but I think it's more original.
So, final thoughts?
Overall, I think it's worth seeing. It's kind of cool to see how the directors and the writers kind of put together their idea of our generation, or the current generation. That's and I think it was a pretty cool idea. I don't know. So
definitely, it's definitely one of a kind movie. I had this idea. I didn't know this film was being made, and I had this idea maybe 5 or 6 years ago to do a movie kind of on the same lines, to follow somebody over the course of time. Yeah. And but this one, this guy had the means to do it first, so congrats, man. And I don't know. I think it's definitely worth watching. I mean, it's really good. I think with this concept in mind, it definitely could have been done maybe a little better. Yeah. But I mean, I think that someone can take this idea and do it another way too. Yeah. I mean, like, just because it's done once doesn't mean like I wouldn't discredit somebody for using the same concept, but with a different theme, with different themes and with different ideas.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. That's just me.
No, yeah,
I definitely
agree.
hope that someone else attempts this in the future. So what do you rate this?
I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I give it a 94 out of 100. I hope that they do a sequel called Manhood
That'd be fun.
with like from like 8 or like 19 or 18 all the way till like 30, and then they do one after that called Middle Agehood from like 31 to like 50,
They just keep going.
and then they do Retirementhood or Old Manhood.
Old manhood.
Yeah, and then Deathhood.
Oh,
Yeah,
it'd be cool though.
and then Neighborhood. That'd be like somewhere between Manhood and Middle Agehood. It'd be Neighborhood because like he's moving into his house. All right, so I hope you enjoyed watching our video, and subscribe down below. If you, I don't know where it is. It might be up here. Do they put it in the corner now?
I don't know.
They put it up in the corner, right? The subscribe button. They put it. I think they put it on the back of your computer. So subscribe and like our videos and comment if you have any ideas for us.
Yeah.
So the comment section is definitely up here. So no, they changed it. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Peace. You should yawn a few more times. So
I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm trying to keep.
You're like.
I'm so tired. I'm trying to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying.
Well, always while I'm talking too.
I can't.
All right, thanks for watching. Subscribe down below.
Say it again. I was scratching my face.
That's cool. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Ooh.